Now, his father-in-law sees that he's acting like a chassid. And in those days, for many people, chassidus was, that was public enemy number one. Then the guy calls her back and says, I have a business deal for you. If you sell me your Elam Haba, your world to come, then we have a deal. MITZVAH, everybody. This week is going to be a short story, short and sweet, about Menachem Mendel of Rimanov. So, before he became known as a tzaddik, when he got married, right? People didn't know who he was, and he got married to the daughter of, an honorable guy in this town of Pristik. I do not know if I'm pronouncing that town correctly. After he got married, he lived by his father-in-law. It was very common in those days, and he did, he was the whole day davening and learning, and he also, like in those days was common for certain chassidim, he also would fast. He would also, certain people, they would go like in the snow. Roll in the snow, so they would, for whatever reason,
self-deprivation.
Right, self infliction, for different reasons, midas chassidus, right? And he would also go and toivel in the mikveh every day.
He would do a cold plunge.
He would do a cold plunge, exactly. Now, his father-in-law sees that he's acting like a chassid, and in those days, for many people, chassidus was, that was public enemy number one. And he saw that he's just doing this, and he wasn't really working, so he wasn't taking care of his family. So he told his daughter that she said, "I obligate you. You must divorce him. You must get a get from him." And she didn't listen. And so because of that, he kicked them out of his house. And he said they can't. And he made a neder that he doesn't allow them to have any hana'ah from his belonging, anything of his. So Mendel of Rimanov, he can't benefit at all from him. No benefit.
That this wife and husband cannot benefit from.
Yeah, like he said, I will not allow them to benefit. So even if he wants to now,
so he swore on the Bible or something.
Yeah, mashu kazeh. Definitely not on a Tanya. That wouldn't have worked.
That'd be funny.
So
Not on the chitas.
Not on a chitas, no. And Reb Mendel, they ended up finding a place, and they were so poor that he hardly ate. She would do some like sewing and weaving in order to sell a tiny bit, and they hardly made any money from that. But that was what they lived by. They squeezed the living by. Now, it happened one time that 3 days in a row they did not make any money, and they didn't even have money. They didn't even have enough money for bread. So she tells herself, his wife says, "We're gonna live like this. We're gonna die. So I'm gonna go to the baker, see if he can give me something on credit." And she comes and she asks, and he says no. And she goes very, very. This guy, obviously, I don't know what the issue was, but he says no, and she went away, with tears in her eyes. But then the guy calls her back and says, I have a business deal for you. If you sell me your Elam Haba, your world to come, then we have a deal. Now, so she hears this, and she doesn't know what to do. She's debating. And she says, you know what? No matter what, I'm not going to allow my husband to die of starvation. I'll do it. And she does the deal. She said, give me bread and cheese, and I'll give it to you. So,
she's up in the stakes for
bread and cheese. So the baker gives her what she wants. She goes to the Beis Medrash, and she put out the food. She set the table for him, and she put the bread and the cheese in front of him, and she stood where she was. And normally, she would go right away and leave him alone, but this time she stood on the side. And so he washed, ate, and then he asked her, obviously there's something that you would like to speak about because you're standing here. No, meaning like he saw that there was a difference in her behavior. So she cried and she said, "My master, my husband, you know how hard I work to make sure that I, behave properly and do all the mitzvahs so that, I would have Elam Haba. And now, even that I don't have." And she told him the whole story. And right away, Rav Mendel comforted her and said, don't worry at all. Because the moment before you came, I was in such a bad state of hunger that I was literally in, it's called achazani bulmus, I guess a state where there's a danger of death. A person who reaches that stage, he's at risk of dying. And if you wouldn't have brought me this food right now, I would have died. And what does it say? That someone who saves a life saves a whole world. And therefore, you got back your Elam Haba, and you don't need what you had before because you have.
So she got
Elam
the
Haba
bread
all
and
over.
cheese.
Everything will be okay.
What?
She got the bread and cheese for free.
No, she got a new.
Oh yeah, she got the bread and cheese.
No, it's like she didn't need the old ones. So therefore,
No, there's extra haba floating around now.
Yeah, you know what it's like? It's like in chess when the pawn reaches the end, you get a queen. You get your queen back. It's
you don't get your queen back. You can have the extra queen.
You get
You have
a
extra
new
queen, right.
It's
Okay. Last thing, closing. MITZVAH is the
You
story
need me still?
of Reb Mendel of Rimanov, and may we, we're talking about Elam Haba. May we reach a point where we bring Elam Haba down here into this world.
Amen.
The Yom Shekuli Shabbos Menucha L'Chai Elamim, and all evil should fade away, and it should be peace for the entire world with Oirei Shel Mashiach. And Gazvach, everybody, thank you for joining. Until next time, smash the like button, subscribe,
Patreon.
and support our awesome stuff here. Okay.
Hashtag see you next week.
Hashtag see you next week.
If not soon.
And now for some bloopers. Then the guy calls her back and says, "Oh, I have a business deal for you. If you sell me your Elam Haba, your world to come, then we have a deal."
That sounds
So-
like I should
Sell me your entire world.
Future receivable.
Vadi, you have to let us know in advance. We have to mic you up.